What's up, everybody? In today's video, we are breaking down the 2024 Carolina Regional Championships for Criterium. Let's jump into the stats. This race was just under an hour. Our average speed was 25. My normalized and average power are a little skewed. I adjusted my power meter and forgot to recalibrate it, so it's a little low. But here nor there, this is the CAT P123 race for the Carolina Regional Criterium Championships. We are racing the regional course for here at Herbalife, so you can tell it's a little bit different from what we normally do, having the little dog leg at the start-finish line, which has changed as well. So it's a pretty cool course. Today was extremely hot, guys. I want to say the track temperature was around like 100 degrees. Luckily, we're racing on concrete and not asphalt, and so that saved us just a little bit. We have a small field of around 15 riders in this field, so it's going to make it really tough. You can see a break. We're pushing ahead about 10 or 8 minutes in. We have a attack going up the road, and the field's already going to get stretched out just a little bit. Some teams to really look out for is we have myself, Jake, and Bryce riding for Newtype, and then if you look in the rear cam, that is Red Star Racing. They have I think they had 5 guys in this, so out of the small field, they had most of the people doing all the moving and shaking, and we were here to kind of just react and counter and chase everything down. Also, there's a couple just random hitters, some dark horses in the field as well. But you can see the people are already starting to drop wheels, and we're only 10 minutes in, and there's starting to be huge gaps opening up towards the front of this field. And I'm just trying to ride smart and not blow up and get too overheated early on in this race. That was really kind of the name of the game, is trying to be smart and not overheat. All right, keep an eye up on the front. Watch this Velocious lady right here. She checks over her shoulder on the right, boom, moves to the left, and unfortunately touches wheels with this Red Star rider and takes a really, really hard fall. I'd like to say she's okay, but unfortunately she's not. She has a bunch of broken bones and a concussion. Hope she's on the mend and hope she gets back to racing really soon. Really unfortunate to see that crash go down in this race. As a result, this kind of slowed us up a little bit, and there's a group of about 5 or 6 guys that ended up kind of just splitting off the front. Bryce is up in that group for us, so I have no reason to chase this down. And there's also a Red Star rider in there as well, so you can see them on my left. And they really don't have any reason to chase as well. So we're kind of sitting in. It's really early, and I was like, this thing, I was thinking this was going to be the breakaway of the day. It was going to go super early, and there's just a lot that was kind of happening and playing out. And the tactics starting this race early on were really odd. It was slow, it would get super fast, and then again the wheels would start to get dropped, and you can see Red Star here on the left moving straight to the front to kind of control and disrupt and give their teammate who's up the road with Bryce the best chance possible to get into a move. Other teams to look out for here are Hotfly Racing. In the high vis kit right here, they have a rider up in that move as well. So there's really no real reason for any of us to do any work. But a couple guys kind of roll off the front. It's too early for them to kind of play all their cards right now. You have that Velocious rider waving us through right here on the far right in the Miami Dolphins looking kit. And gaps are starting to open up, so I'm just kind of wait a little bit and kind of try and snap one off really fast to see if I can get the guys behind me to get a gap in so we can drop them. Jake's in the front right here, kind of closing this thing down. It is getting super strung out. We're going really fast, 34 miles an hour. It is really tough. Check the rear cam. We got the Velocious rider waving in the camera for us. While he's doing that, I'm like, guys, we got to get up the road, man. The race is up the road for us. I keep a lot of momentum and speed right here. I wasn't sure if I was going to get chopped, so I kind of waited just a second to take the apex. And as soon as I come out of the corner, stand on the pedals really hard, get up to this small group of riders. You can see the brake is even further up the road. And now check the rear cam. Huge gap with the group behind us. I'm really excited about this. I yell up to our buddy Cody, who's in the Red Star kit.
Keep going, Cody. We got
in the middle right here, the taller guy, I'm letting him know that, hey, we have a gap. Like, this is it. Let's go up to the front, guys, and let's re-merge the front of this race together. And that's exactly what we do. It took a couple minutes for us to do that, but we slowly welded this thing back together. And now there are two distinct groups. We have the front group right here and the rear group of about 6 or 7 guys. And as soon as we get up to this front group where Bryce and the Hot Fly riders are in, Cody, who I just mentioned, he does a counterattack on this downhill. This is a great launching pad for everybody to set attacks because you just have so much momentum. In my opinion, I really didn't like attacking right here because as soon as you got someone on your wheel, they could just sit in your draft and they get a free ride down this slight downhill. So I was kind of just like playing my cards, not trying to burn any matches on the downhill. But you can see, again, we're going super fast on this section. We're back up to 30 miles an hour. One thing to point out, there is a big headwind. When we come on the backside of this course, we're going to have a huge headwind. And then right now we have as we switch views, we're going to have a big tailwind coming down on this downhill. And as you guys know, anytime there's a big wind factor, it's always conducive to a breakaway. So right up the road right now, it's hard to see. We have Bryce and a younger Red Star rider that are up the road trying to gap us just a little bit. And sure enough, we're still only 20 minutes into this thing. It's pretty early into the hour-long crit. Guys are not wanting to let them get up the road just yet. And I'm just playing the defensive game right here. I'm not really disrupting just yet. I'm just trying to follow moves and make sure I'm on the right side of any splits. Because some of these guys are already like letting wheels go, just like this guy right here, this Hunter Subaru rider. And then in the rear cam, you have some of the Red Star guys. They're starting to just waver just a little bit. You can kind of see their body language and how they're riding. Like, they're just not feeling the heat today. Again, it was super hot. Well, as soon as the pace lets up, Bryce and the Red Star rider up the road kind of get a pretty good gap. And they end up staying away for a good while right here. And as soon as it slows down, the Red Star guys come to the front and kind of start disrupting this chase group. And I kind of just slot in and try and recover the best I can. Even though we're doing a ton of watts kind of coming up this hill, keeping it pretty fast. It was really tough. Pushing ahead 23 minutes in, just a lap and a half later. We have this guy on the right here. Starts to chase. He's wanting to get up to the 2 leaders. And Red Star is all over that. They're covering this thing and shutting all these chase efforts down. I immediately just slot in. I kind of waited just a little bit, and I was hoping again to get a gap of the guys in the rear because I wanted to spit them off of our group, you know, trying to eliminate any of the competition. And it looks like I had, you know, check the rear cam, they're kind of back there. I was hoping we could really keep it fast through this corner. But unfortunately, we slow up a little bit and they catch back on. All right, pushing ahead another lap later, we finally, the chase effort finally reels in Bryce. And the Red Star rider, he's this kid on the left right here that we just reeled in. I was hoping that we would kind of punch it over the top of him to try and get him dropped, but just the pace was just not high enough right here. Bryce kind of jumped on the front. I wish he would have rotated off. He's trying to right now to kind of flick his elbow through to get guys to come through. And it was just a little bit too late to kind of blow some of these guys off the rear of the field. But as soon as that happens, Bryce is over to the right here. He's kind of just nonchalantly kind of just staying on the power, staying on the pedals. You can see everyone's kind of like soft pedaling, looking around. Bryce checks over his shoulder and just kind of gets back on the power. Doesn't stand up out of the saddle. Does a really good effort, and now he's got another gap. Perfect move by Bryce. I see this, and I'm just like sitting in. I have zero reason to get on the front or to do any type of work. And yeah, you can tell, guys, like, I'm doing 100 watts right here. Guys are putting their hands up like, what's going on? No one's chasing us down. We're getting a little bit of gaps. You can see the Red Star guys are kind of coming to the front to control this thing. And I just wanted to make sure I wasn't at a position. Like, they kind of get towards the front. And I wasn't sure if they were going to speed it up on this downhill. So I kind of move up a couple positions and to try and block some of them in so they don't get any momentum. And yeah, nobody has any interest in chasing Bryce down. This is the perfect scenario for us. When it's super windy like this, he has the perfect profile to just ride away, do a great threshold ride, and sit in. And as soon as that happens, like right on the downhill, everyone seemed to launch in at this point of the course today. is a huge effort from Red Star to kind of bring this thing back, and I jump on their wheels. All right, 27 minutes in, so it was back-to-back kind of like chase efforts right through here for these couple minutes. Everyone's wanting to get up towards Bryce. Guys are kind of sitting back down, and I'm like, all right, I got to snap one off again. I want to be on the right side of the split, and I really want to like put in a hard effort to get separation from the guys. Unfortunately, they're all over me on the rear cam, so I just keep the power on steady and make sure I'm getting back up to these front three chasers. All the teams are represented in this thing still. There's no threat from behind, from the group behind us. And this was a super hard effort. I'm running 190 BPM. I was really feeling this part of the course. It was extremely hot. And in this section of the course right here, there's a huge headwind for us. And it's extremely tough to kind of get a draft. And it was making it really hard for everybody. Skipping ahead just a half a lap later, there's a gap starting to roll off the front, and again, guys are starting to chase. Everyone's kind of looking at each other. This Hunter Subaru on my hard right, you can't see him anymore. He's letting it up. So I just kind of soft pedal just a second and then get back on the power, hopefully to pop him off the back. And right here, I should have stayed on the power and kind of gone over the top of these guys to keep the pace high. I chose not to. I was really hurting at this point in the ride. Pushing ahead to another half a lap in. We have a Red Star guy going off the front. Hot Fly riders just zigzagging across the course. And now we have splits and gaps because everyone's tired. Everyone's cracked right now. Should try and do these back-to-back chase efforts to bring Bryce back. And I'm just slotting in. I'm just kind of just making sure I can get the best draft I can, trying to be the best teammate I can. I have zero interest. If Cody wants to soft pedal right here in Red Star, I'm completely fine with that. Make sure I jump back on his wheel. Hot Fly finally pulls through. And now it's single file. You can tell it's super fast. Guys are dropping back right here. I want to stay on the power. Don't let him get in my draft. And you can see there's the two riders up the road, they've got huge gaps on us. Like, just the momentum and the speed differential, like if you waited just a couple seconds today, the gaps became enormous. And we're only halfway through the crit. Again, my heart rate is all the way through the roof. It's up in the 190s right now. I think my average heart rate was 185 for the full hour. It was insane. Right here, I thought was probably the point in the race where I wish I could redo it. I slowed down when we kind of regrouped right here. I should have stayed on the gas and to bridge up to those two riders. I chose not to. I was, bleeding through my eyes right now. And then this guy goes on the counter to chase up to them, and I just had nothing left in the tank, not much snap left to kind of jump onto those guys' wheels. And now we have more huge gaps opening up in the field. So this is kind of the point in the race where I was just really feeling super tired. And it's a bit unfortunate. So Cody pulls off with Red Star on the right, and I'm like, oh, dang it. Like, I don't have really anything to get my momentum. And as soon as we take this right-hand turn, we're going to get into a block headwind, and it's going to be really hard for me to do any effort to close that thing down. Fortunately, we get one guy that comes back to us for Hot Fly, but unfortunately, there ends up being a 3-rider chase group that is trying to track down Bryce. And that's kind of how it remains for the rest of the crit. So Bryce ends up lapping the back half of the field, and then you have 3 riders that were in the chase group that never caught him. And then the rest of us in this small group, I think there's only 4 or 5 of us, we'd all been rotating. We caught a couple lap riders, and we're kind of racing for 4th. Well, we just hit the bell lap, and if you check the rear cam, Bryce had lapped the field and brought a group of lapped riders back up to us. So now technically I'm lapped. All of us are lapped now, and I didn't realize this. We got the bell lap, and I was kind of confused. I was like, oh, there should be like one more to go, but we got the bell lap. So I like look over my shoulder, and I see everybody behind us now, and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking to myself, those guys are lapped. Like, I'm not worried about it. I just have to out sprint all these threshold riders who I've been riding with for the past 30 minutes. Like, we haven't been really doing anything. I've been sitting in, trying to keep my heart rate down. As you can tell, it hasn't worked very well because I'm still at 190. So we're on the last lap, coming down the downhill, and I'm like kind of thinking, like, you know what, like, the podium spots are already taken. Bryce is already locked in first place. I really don't need to, like, I don't really have anything to prove. There's no money on the line anymore. So I'm just like, let's just kind of keep it safe and have fun for this last lap. Cody with Red Star is ramping up the speed right now. And I'm just like, all right, perfect. We'll do a little sprint right here, have some fun. But little did I know, the guys that got brought up to us that are lapped, and now in hindsight, we're all lapped. So the Hot Fly rider in the rear cam and the smaller Red Star rider in the rear cam as well, they're thinking, oh, I can get 4th place or 5th place, because they're race savvy. They're keeping tabs on what's going on. Well, they come over the top of me, and I'm all of a sudden like, oh. And this is where I realized, snap, like, now I'm racing for 4th, and they're coming over the top of me. At this point, I was like, they already got me a little bit. I pop off a small little sprint up this little kicker, keep it fast through this chicane. And at this point, I was like, oh, man. I was like, well, there goes a couple upgrade points out the window. I really didn't have much left in the tank. Rocking 198 BPM. Come around the final corner to the finish line. Do a little bit of a sprint. Realize I don't have much left in the tank. And that is it, guys. Little discombobulated, little unorganized finish there. But it's all good. Great result for the team and for Bryce. For the regionals, he is the back-to-back-to-back Carolina regional champ. He's finally secured the P123 regional championship medal, so super excited for him. We'll throw up some podium photos. Appreciate y'all watching. Catch you on the next one.